Okay, this is going to be part one of this weekend's Pontiac video. I have been dissecting this harness, going through, just like I've been doing, same stuff. We're slowly getting some of this worked out. So instead of the way this was all built, it's just wires going everywhere, I've turned it into an actual harness, which wasn't as easy as I'd hoped. I do have this breakaway just in case I ever want to tap it later. The kit had come with this peculiar arrangement right here with a bazillion wires, which I don't need because I'm not wiring point to point. So I've just had to reuse some of the original stuff because there's no way I'm getting these connectors. And I didn't want to convert this all to bulbs popped in, you know, like the one for the brake. That would have been less than ideal. So we're reusing this plastic frame. We're still using the bulb indicator locations. This is all going to work out pretty nice. Only now, instead of having to take the whole car apart to take the dash out, you got two connectors you can pop. And then, of course, you would pop the connections off the wiper and off the headlight switch. Now, one thing that's peculiar in this vehicle, and seems to be a Pontiac thing from the era, is everything has lights in it. So you can see here's a light bulb going for the cigarette lighter. This light pops down on the ignition switch housing. This feed actually goes over. There's two lights in the ashtray housing. Yeah, there's lights for everything. So I decided to keep this really nifty setup that the factory had to run all my dash lights. And then this bulb is going to go in the back of the heater. It's the only thing for the heater that's going to be common here. Remember, I'm redesigning the way that all works with the classic auto air stuff. This is the new quartz clock, so it's going to always have a constant feed. It has its own fuse right here. Now that clock line is also shared with the radio for its memory feed. So let's see here. So we're gonna have a 10 amp line going to the radio and a keep alive memory basically for the clock. And of course this is the main feed for the AC system that we're doing from Classic Auto. So that's all running in that direction. He's going to have amplifiers in the well in the back and everything, so he'll still have all his tunes. So the head unit doesn't need a lot of power. It'll just get a 10 amp fuse. So okay, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm getting ready to figure out a couple things right now, not the least of which is the lengths I want for the brake switch. I am going to have to change that over from the circle to the modern GM flat because I don't have pins. I can't get these pins. They're the same freaking pins that were in the fuse box or in the old bulkhead, so I can't get these pins. So I'm not even going to bother with it. So we're going through that, and then there's little things like, you know, there's this nice little light that goes up under the dash. It's up here, so we had to make sure we have a power feed for that. So here's a nice power feed for it. It actually gets its ground through this strap. This connector wasn't even used in this arrangement, and I wonder if perhaps a ground sometimes can be applied here to light this light up. Maybe in some applications, this light would also light up when you open the door or something along that line. So I'm not going to worry about it. We're putting it back the way it was because he really, really liked this under dash light. So we're just going to put that back in. I had mentioned that this is now, well, it always was the location for the brake light switch, you know, to tell you that the e-brake is on. So we've got that coming down. The switch will also probably wind up running out to the combi valve. I'm not sure yet how we want to handle that. Of course, this was the floor dimmer switch. You know, this is sitting upside down. These are still the auxiliary harness. This is the power for the relay for the fuel pump. Haven't got that wired in yet. So we've got all of that. You can see here's the wiper setup. That's going to be these 3 wires here. So you can see I've got them here. Not the same colors that the factory had, but they are labeled correctly, so I think that's fun. So we'll get those hooked up for high speed, low speed, and the squirter. Yeah. See, other issues. For starters, this plug is broken a little. I'm not happy about that. And I've got to decide what I want to do about it. None of the plugs that I have are the same. It's still a nice interference fit. It will work. I'm just going to have to be very careful with it. Conveniently, I don't need most of the outputs and things that they had going on here. When you look at the switch here, there were all kinds of things going on. I'm just going to need to know ignition power in crank and in run. I'm going to need to know auxiliary, which is usually the brown wire. I'm going to need a starter feed, and of course the main power in. So the ignition switch isn't actually going to be too populated compared to what we've got here, and we're not doing whatever they were doing here. Of course, I still want to have reverse lights and a neutral safety switch, so I'm going to have to deal with that and get those lengths mapped out. I think what I'll do is leave that long and then get it in the car and then measure the harness, because I really don't want it running all over the place. You know, you make things a little long, but you don't want to go crazy. Then the other major thing that's going to happen is, instead of the way the cigarette lighter and the glove box light, which would normally just be hot and off of a fuse, we're going to, run our setup off of here. It'll still be the lighter plug, but not only is that going to feed this lighter, I want to find a location for 2 more power points so that they can also keep phones charged or tablets charged or something along that line. But I want it hidden up under the dash, like we've done in many, many cars. So we just got to find a physical spot we want to hook those up. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. The harness is slowly coming together. There's just so many things you have to think of with these universal kits, because they don't come with any of this stuff. This you got to know that you want to have that if you even care about backup lights, which I do. So of course, backup lights isn't even in this harness. I have to run that wire myself. Yeah, there's just a lot of things like that if you've worked on enough cars, you already kind of know what circuits you need. And if you haven't, even something like this is still handy, because everything in the factory wiring harness, you still need most of that to work. So that does help a little. Okay, quick update from this morning. We've gotten a little more terminated. We now have the auxiliary harness done. The future tack wire, in case he ever wants it, is done. Let's see, I think I'd already shown you that we have the harness for the instrument panel. The wipers and the steering column are done. Yeah, here's the wipers. So they're done. Quite a bit of this is getting pretty close to going in and looking for some lengths. And then I took a little time and started building up my cyclone rake. There's a lot involved in building that. Holy moly. Unfortunately, 2 clamps are missing, so I'm going to have to contact them about that. I thought I'd be done with that today. And then in here, they've been okay, and now they're in here putting in weather stripping. So they've been changing the weather stripping and staying pretty busy with that today. It smells really, really good back here. Gotta let it tack up. It is a contact cement. So, all right. Okay, Shop Dog. Hey, look at that bonus, Shop Dog. Okay, so we're probably wrapping up for a while. I know it never looks like much got done. There are new locks, and they actually work, and there's actually a key. And that took them a while. There's new weather stripping. It's got a cure, but it's properly bonded. That's going to be amazing. They have some universal fuzzy for here. We got to figure out how this window reveal comes off so that we can change that strip. That'll be fun. Not a lot of information in the world about wagons, it turns out. As I showed earlier, you know, the harness is coming along. It's a project of persistence. A little here, a little there, a little bit more. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. We're getting closer and closer to integrating this harness too. That'll be fun. Alright, just a quick addendum on the harness before I can put this video together. I have now got a neutral safety switch. I've got the start of backup lights, so you can see that's the backup that's going to go to the rear harness when we get a connector on that. I am starting to work on the ignition switch, which I did not expect to be a complicated problem, but on this goofy Pontiac it is. None of my Chevrolet or even the only Buick ignition switch I have seem to want to work out. We really want to keep this light, so I'm mapping it out. One of the problems we have with the MSD is it needs to know when the key is on and when the key is running. I'm sure we can have a momentary blip, so instead of doing it ugly off the coil, like, which is what some people would say, well, just find the ignition wire and just do it off of that. Well, that's not going to do it for us. So right now we've got ignition. What I've done is I've taken terminal 2, which you can see right, you know, on the ignition switch here. You know, here's our battery in. When we're in run, ignition is hot, so would the resistance wire would have been. But position 2 also goes hot when the key is on, just like solenoid does. So, and I just grabbed some wires I had laying around to prove it. So, I wonder how I'm going to do this and hold the camera. So, let's see what we can do here. So if I turn the key to on, eventually. Okay, right now I'm looking at the starter solenoid position. So I've got to crank her over. So we've got starter solenoid. Right now I should have, okay, so we're in run and in crank. There should be enough of a capacitor in the MSD to deal with that. And then of course it will be off in the accessory position, because why would it be on? But accessory is on if I can find it. I don't remember which pin is it. Oh, I'm in off. There's accessory, which is one of these other, there, that's accessory right there. It's hard when you're looking through the camera. So we've got that sorted out. I know how I'm going to have to wire this. I'm really bummed that this is damaged. It's not going to be a lot I can do about it, but conveniently the friction fit on there is going to be more than enough. So I'm only going to need a power in. I don't need the water sender. I don't need anything for the alternator. You know, they had everything to run the voltage regulator on there, so I'm not going to need that. I'm not sure what somebody was doing here. They had it broke into, and I'm sure that's probably how they were grabbing the other side for the MSD in this car. I didn't really pay attention to the wiring coming out, so I'm sure that's, they probably did the same thing I'm trying to do, but they did it in a very ugly, weird manner. Here's the old resistance wire that we're obviously not going to use. Yeah, this is, I think I have a solution here. The other thing I really need to make sure that I've got is actual ignition when we're cranking. Doing this should take care of that problem for me. Now remember, everything that's on when the key is on will be on when it's cranking. You know, we can't get that fancy here. We just don't, we're not set up that way. I could probably use a few relays to do a few things, but I don't think that's going to be a big problem with this car. I think she'll turn over and start just fine. So that's kind of where I'm at right now on this. You can see it's been in and out of the car a few times as I'm starting to terminate some lengths. I do have the brake switch somewhere in here. Okay, yeah, here's the brake switch, which is doing a couple things for us because of some of our aftermarket things. One, it's going to provide a signal to a rear camera in the back. The other thing it's going to do is provide information to the cruise control. So instead of just cutting and splicing it in, I went ahead and reclaimed one of these little connectors. So when it comes time to install the cruise control, I have a nice source of signal hot, that's all the time, as well as only when the brake is applied, because the cruise needs to know that. So those two signals being available, that's kind of nice. And then you can see this is the plug that goes on the back of this ignition and lights everything up. It's very fancy, but it's starting to be kind of a pain. But yeah, so because it doesn't have a newer style ignition switch, and because it doesn't have well, really anything similar to anything else I have, we're using the factory original. Now there's a lot of extra switching that goes on from another terminal in here that I don't need now. You know, it was what fed green, it fed red, and actually I don't think that's what they call it. I think they call it DR, G, and something else I can't read down there. But anyway, we don't need any of that with the fuel injection setup. We don't need it with our new harness. We've already got power being distributed to everything, and we've, unfortunately have a one-wire alternator, so we don't need any of that. It's voltage is controlled internally. We have the fuel injection, and we have an HEI. And the HEI wants 12 volts full time. It doesn't need a resistance wire or a ballast resistor. Yeah, so there's our HEI. So that solves a lot of the tricky switching stuff they used to have to do. So that's where we're at. So I'm getting closer and closer to getting ready to terminate the actual ignition switch location. So I've got this marked. This last one is the length I want. So this has been in and out of the car a few times, which isn't very fun. So yeah, it'll lay in here real nice. I'm pretty happy with how this is all coming along. You can see I got some cleanup to do, but we're getting closer and closer to starting to route some of that harness. I've got the main feed, and then probably once we have the main harness in and the breakaway to the back at least done at this point up here, I'm not too worried about running the wires to the back yet. Once we have that part of the harness installed, then we can really focus on the AC stuff. And once we have that kind of mapped out where it's going, so that if there's any welding, we can take care of that. Then we can really progress on getting things back together, as well as working out, the couple little details we still haven't figured out, like the exact way we're going to spoof the controls for the heater. We've got ideas on that. We've kind of started down that path, but there's a lot of things always going on. So yeah, you can see we're slowly getting there. I know it never seems like it looks like much, but I mean, silly things like spending an hour getting weather stripping fitted, getting bumpers fitted. This is all stuff that's going to make the car so much more enjoyable in the long run. Since we've decided it's not doing power tour this year with everything going on, that gives us a little more time to do a slightly nicer job than we were originally going to do. Or, well, wrong phrase, do it quicker. Do things that weren't going to get done until next year, get those done now. So, okay, that's the actual end of the weekend's Pontiac video.